During week 4, session 2, the warm-up will involve a walk, jog and sprint exercise, which has been prescribed in the client's warm-up to allow preparation for later progression of high-intensity exercises during the plyometric session. Once again, this is specific to the client, as at the end of the walk, jog, sprint pattern, the client performs jump like they would during a basketball game, which would also be benefit from plyometric training. Also, the dynamic stretches will prepare main muscles with the extent at which they need to move later on in the session. The session has been based around plyometric training to provide variety from the usual speed, agility, and cardiovascular endurance training session, which is usually the second session of the week. Plyometric training has also been prescribed in order to help work towards an improvement in client one's power. Firstly, the box jump is provided at an intensity to ensure that the client is working at the hardest that they can be. However, in order to compensate for this, the client is given only 6 reps per set and recovery time of 30 seconds to help prevent overloading the client. Next, the medicine ball slams have been prescribed in order to take measures towards improving client one's upper body power, as many upper body muscles such as the bicep brachia, tricep brachia, and deltoids are required to contract. Then lateral jumps will provide their upper body muscles a resting period after the high intensity medicine ball slams. Although the lateral jumps are also an exercise which will work the client one at a high intensity with 15 reps. However, to compensate to this and help prevent overload, the client has only been allocated 2 sets and a 45-second rest time between sets. In order to prevent the client becoming bored of plyometric training, the session is finished off with a singular set of 35-meter sprints to reinforce the previous training for speed, in especially their session 2 sessions. Although the previous session before this also worked the leg muscles at high intensity, the 2-minute rest time before the activity will hopefully allow their muscles to recover and not overload to cause an injury and therefore demotivation in the future. To ensure that client 1 is able to cool down after the session, the client has been prescribed small running activity at a low pace in order to ensure that they recover from exercise at a steady pace. However, the static stretches will also aid in this recovery stage by maintaining muscle ability to stretch and their pliability to ensure they are able to work efficiently during the next session and their other sporting commitments. The week 5, session 1, this session has been prescribed in order to fulfill the principle of training reversibility. This is because clients 1 last session consisted of many high intensity exercises due to them not to have a recovery session so far in the program. This session will hopefully help prevent overload. Additionally, this also adds to the variety of the client's program as they have not been prescribed this session and will hopefully help prevent overload. This also adds variety to the client's program as they have not been prescribed a PNF recovery session yet either. This PNF session will therefore allow for muscles to be trained at a low intensity, but also to be able to make improvements in their range of movement as well as joints. The warm-up consists of a light-paced basketball dribbling activity for the submaximal exercise stage and will allow for the client's body temperature to increase and therefore allow for aspects like the neuromuscular system to increase in efficiency. Following on from this, the dynamic stretches provided will hopefully provide an improvement in the muscles and joints range of movement in order to prepare for the session by allowing the muscles to be stretched to an extent which will be used later on. First in training, firstly the partner hamstring stretch has been prescribed in order to improve the pliability and flexibility of the hamstring group muscles. This is because the hamstring group muscles is frequently used in aspects of basketball like jumping up to contest for the ball and will therefore aid in their increase in power as they are able to jump higher. This is also similarly to why the quadricep partner stretch has been allocated. However, in between these two, the client will undergo a partner chest stretch in order to allow the lower body muscles a rest after being worked previously with a hamstring PNF stretch. This cool down is not only specific to the client as it involves aspects of basketball, but also allows for the body's temperature to decline at a steady rate by steadily lowering the intensity at which they work. Following on from this, the static stretch is prescribed to ensure that the muscles worked earlier on are able to maintain the range of movement and pliability by carefully isolating a variety of muscles. Due to this session being client one's last training session in week 6, I've allocated them a larger number of exercises, as usual, in order to maximise their progress overload and try and cover most of their area goals that they set. The submaximal exercise stage of the passing drill at the start of the activity will not only increase the body temperature in order to increase aspects like the neuromuscular system efficiency, but also work the client's coordination. This has also been prescribed due to the specificity of a coordination in client one's competitive sport. Additionally, the dynamic stretches will improve the range of movement of client one's major joint and muscle in order to prepare for later exercises. During the training, the kettlebell swings have been reintroduced in order to provide variety to the first exercise of the session and also allow for client 1 to try and improve their upper body strength in as many different ways as possible. However, due to this exercise not being part of the program for several weeks, it will be performed at a low intensity of 14 kilograms to follow the principle of reversibility, whereas the client has then been prescribed a variety of SAQ load activities to allow the upper body muscles to rest. However, aspects like client 1's coordination is then allowed to progressively overload due to the many different and complex methods involved in SAQ ladders which haven't been previously involved. Furthermore, client 1's upper body along with their core has been worked again at a harder intensity with press-ups. However, to compensate for the high frequency amount of sets, they have been prescribed a 1 minute rest time to prevent they have been prescribed a 1 minute rest time in between the sets to prevent overload. The next activity is then prescribed as bicep curls with a barbell at this as this does not isolate one muscle in particular and therefore maximize the amount of upper body muscles trained during the session. Although the client previously trained their upper body press-ups, the 2-minute recovery period before this will hopefully allow the ATV source to recover and muscles to become more relaxed to an extent. Also, the decline in reps and increase in weight method throughout these sets for the bicep curls is used to maximize gain in muscle for an increased intensity following the FIT principle. The speed hurdles are then brought back into the session in order to progressively overload the client's agility with harder and more complex methods than last time, additionally allowing the upper body to rest. However, as a result of this, mix in the areas of the body exercises, the client's final exercise will be a plank, which when exercised will improve and provide better supports for all of the exercise as it supports the lumbar vertebrae. However, in order to motivate the client after many different activities, there will only be one set to complete. However, at a higher intensity due to an increased time also included in the FIT principle. The client is then given a light exercise stage of the cool down of 2 minutes basketball dribbling in order to provide a recovery for the body after a high intensity session. Also, obviously the aspect of basketball will be specific to the client and therefore hopefully increase their motivation for later sessions. Whereas the static stretches after this light intensity will maintain the muscle's ability to stretch via isolating key muscles specific to the exercise before. Although the pattern of walk, jog, and sprint has been reintroduced into the client's warm-up activities, as it is their last session, may not have to be worried about too many about becoming bored, as it is their last session. However, I have introduced a small basketball dribbling drill where the client dribbles in between lines of cones 8 times. Also, the dynamic stretches will help improve the muscle's ability to stretch, and then following on from this, the active specific stage of SAQ ladders at light intensity will help prepare the client's muscle memory for later activities. The interval training via shuttle runs will then allow for a progressive overload in the client's lower muscles in their legs, and therefore the shuttle runs will also make huge contributions towards improving the client's speed and cardiovascular endurance. The light jog around the session area, once followed by a basketball shooting drill for 1 minute at light intensity, will allow for the muscle's body to decline steadily at the intensity which they are working at. This is so that the heart rate can eventually decrease as the oxygen debt from the session has been paid off. The static stretches will then ensure that the client's muscles' ability to stretch and their pliability is maintained. The alternative exercises for this program could be one of them is from the dynamic stretch of a trunk rotation in the warm-up from week 6. An alternation to this could be the piriformis stretch lasting 1 minute with the client changing from left to right side every 10 seconds. Another alternation, but this time in the training section of the program, is an SAQ ladder training with an alternative methods used in every set. An alternative to this is speed hurdle training. And finally, the cool down, a submaximal exercise involving a light SAQ ladder drill at a slow pace, and then a light jog around the session area. has been alternated to a four-way cone drill where the client changes direction at a light pace whilst jogging. Additionally, this is client one's weekly schedule, weekly timetable, in order to justify where the sessions have been set, and also why they have quite a few rest days as well. Also, at the weekends, both days are occupied by basketball. Saturday is occupied by basketball games, and Sunday as a rest day for that match.